time for the guide. So today chat, we're gonna talk about the most gate-kept secret in Street Fighter 4. You're gonna ask me, why is it a gate-kept secret? Well, I think it's the one thing that will prevent a player that is skilled from reaching that high level just due to lack of knowledge. In this game, if you're not aware of option selects and how they work, you're gonna be so far behind, it's not even gonna be competitive, like if you play against a high-level player, right? Some players care a bit less about option selects, like, I don't know, Abel, for example. Yeah, there are characters that care a little less, right? But in general, if you play without option selects, there's a very high chance you will never achieve that like high level. Now, option selects come in many forms, right? Like there are so many. So let's start with the ones you will find in most fighting games. Well, before I explain this, let me explain what an option select is in the first place. An option select means there is a hidden action in your inputs that will trigger if a specific scenario is met. The first one is buffers. For example, if I press crouch medium kick in neutral and input a fireball quickly, the fireball won't come out, right? The option select is the fireball, right? It's a hidden input, but it will only come out if the crouch medium kick connects, right? Bam. See? It comes out. Now, this is something that's going to be very important in Street Fighter 4, like on a lot of characters, like on Shotos, on grapplers, on all sorts of characters. You're going to use this in one way or another. So buffers are option selects that work if a move hits something, right? You can also take this option select one step further and add one extra step to this OS to make it a double OS. Let me show you an example. This is like already a little advanced, but it's still an option select, so it's not a bad idea to go over it. For example, Ken knocks you down, right? He delays a crouch medium kick fireball. See? Crouch medium kick fireball hits. We're good, right? In the corner, this crouch medium kick fireball applies because since it's delayed, there's no reliable way to avoid it other than jumping, right? And if he predicts your opponent is gonna jump, bam. See that? See that? That's an example of double option select. So you input two option selects in one. But like, you're not going to be using this. Another example of this is Sakura. Here's a perfect example of this double option select being used very effectively. So, all right, let's see if I got it right. Yes. Okay. If I wake up and I stay there, Sakura goes stand light kick into light Tatsu, and she can continue her pressure, right? Or even trap her opponent if he tries to press in the gap between the light kick and the Tatsu. But if he tries to backdash, since that stand light kick whiff and the Tatsu didn't come out, her light DP is gonna come out. See? That's a use case. Shoutouts to Pineapple for this tech. So, we've been over buffer. And we've been over a buffer OS with an extra OS. That's like a more advanced. You won't need to use that really. Like, it's just to show you that it can be done, right? Now, let's go into Crouch Tech OS and all the other Throw Tech OSs that you can have. There are many. I'll go over all of them. First of all, let's talk about the Crouch Tech. So the Crouch Tech, what this means is if I do this, I get Crouch Light Kick, right? But since you can see jab and light kick at the same time, the game still registers it as a throw. It registers it as a throw only when your opponent has grabbed you, right? So you can defend and manually time your crouch tech every time. If you're a Street Fighter 6 player or Street Fighter 5 player, this would be a similar timing to a delay tech, except it's much stronger in this game. So that's the first layer. The second layer is you can do crouch tech, but add a button to it. See? You see the crouch jab and crouch light kick. I added a medium kick to it. Medium punch. I can add a medium kick. I can add a sweep. Oh, like this. I can add a crouch heavy punch. Oh, let me get it, the clean input. There it is. You can also crouch tech with jab, but that's much more difficult as you have to plink the jab with the crouch light kick. Like that. But this is very difficult to do, but it's worth practicing. So let me show you all of these examples in action. Like me teching with these. I'm gonna tech with crouch medium punch. There it is. You saw that. Now I'm gonna tech with crouch medium kick. See that? And vice versa. I'm gonna also show you the jab. See that? There are many ways you can crouch tech. And the reason this is important is that if your opponent tries to shimmy and walk back or something, or dive kick you instantly, the normal that will come out with your throw is gonna help deal with that situation. So it creates an extra layer. There are other types of crouch techs. You can crouch tech with a jump button. Let me show you an example. If my opponent wants to throw me, I can block and then delay a jump button, or just a throw, or I can delay a medium kick or a medium punch, and it will work. Let me show you. If you look at my inputs, you will see that I'm holding up. There, see that? And what this is good for is if a dive kick character, for example, tries to throw you or dive kick you, you can evade the situation, all while making it much harder for him to stuff your or counter hit you in your jump. Because then the only way your opponent can beat this jump tech is by perfectly delaying a very precise button. So you also have the focus tech. This is arguably probably the strongest, but if you delay it and you press focus and throw at the same time and backdash, you will have both a focus backdash to deal with the delayed button, so you can get yourself out of pressure, and a tech if your opponent tries to throw you, and also a block. Let me show you. See? There, I inputted both the focus and the backdash. Now, let's see what happens if my opponent tries to delay a frame trap. See that? I'm out of there. This is very strong. So this was nerfed in Ultra with the addition of red focus. So now, thankfully actually, because this was very toxic for the game, when you have 2 bars of meter and you do the 4 button tech, you get a red focus, which will take 2 of your bars away, right? See that? So that's one way to tech. Another way to tech is you can tech with special moves. For example, I will tech with Ken's EXDP here. Give me some time because I'm gonna mess this up a few times before I get it. Oh shit. Let's throw him. There we go. So now we have what is called a Momochi tech. This is very advanced, but it is a form of throw tech, so I have to show it. It's called the Momochi tech. So you can tech with any special move as long as you add throw with it. So as long as jab and light kick are part of the inputs, your button will tech throws. Your special move will tech throws. But there's an extra layer to this. If you end your special move input with crouch block and then slightly delay the throw, then you can not only tech with a special move, but you can also block a normal. Let me show you an example here. So after first try, for those watching on YouTube, totally first try. So if I throw Ken, he techs. If I do a meaty, he blocks. But if I want to delay a button, I get EXDP'd. This is the Momochi tech. Extremely powerful, but also extremely difficult to do. This is probably the ultimate form of throw tech you can have. It's very strong. And there are several ways you can beat this. The first one is neutral jump. See that? Since the DP comes out very delayed, You can make it whiff with a neutral jump if you time it well. You can also beat it by doing nothing and punish it. But it's still very strong because you can use this technology, the Momochi throw tech, whether offensively or defensively. So that's one way you can throw tech. Another way you can tech throws is with backdash. All right, let me get into that. So after jab, see, I inputted a backdash, but you have to do it very late. There we go. See that? I'm not too comfortable with this on stick yet. But you get the idea. Delay your backdash and press throw at the same time. There we go. This is very good if you have like a very strong backdash, like Rose or something, and you don't want to expose yourself with focus attack. This is the play. Since we talked about moves that only come out if your move hits something, let's talk about trade combo option selects. So trade combo option selects, I mean, these are easier to understand, but the way they work is, if I press heavy punch, for example, right? Heavy punch has a long recovery, right? So the only way that recovery goes to an end is if the move trades, right? If the move trades, then the recovery is practically over. Since a lot of these heavy button trades leave you at plus a lot, you can get an ultra sometimes off of those trades. Let me try to show it. See that? That was a combo. So if I do nothing, we get crouch heavy punch EX fireball. But if you input an ultra, so you do crouch heavy punch EX fireball and you input an ultra after that, the ultra will only come out if a trade happens. See that? Now, the risk with this, the reason why this is extremely risky, is that on characters like Dan, who cannot confirm their trade, they have to do it like preemptively, is that if the crouch heavy punch gets counter hit with a light, the ultra might come out if you're not quick enough. So this is an option select. But there is a way to do this on some characters that don't involve an option select, right? For example, if I pick Guy, I'm gonna jab Guy on block. So here, there's no need for an option select. It can be confirmed. There we go. You see that? So this is a confirm that does not involve preemptively doing your ultra during your crouch heavy punch input, right? So you can wait, see the trade, and then input it. But with characters like Dan, where the crouch heavy punch is extremely minus on block, and you're layering an OS with a special move, like for Dan, like for example, I was doing crouch heavy punch fireball. If you want the ultra to come out off of a trade, you need to do crouch heavy punch fireball and then add the ultra. Here's another use case where you can apply this mechanic, this trade mechanic option select with even special moves, like for example with poison. So here, I will input a DPFADC forward dash into ultra. See that? I did input the DPFADC forward dash, but it didn't come out because all of those inputs were eaten during the trade. So I could combo off of the trade with Ultra 1 without having to spend my resources. This is extremely strong with poison, by the way. So if you play poison, make sure to wake up to DP with the light one so that you get a trade. See, you can also juggle with this. You can juggle with a normal. But yeah, you get the idea, right? You take into account the fact that your FADC dash forward input is gonna be eaten and you'll get ultra regardless without having to spend the FADC meter. So that's another type of trade combos. All right, now let's talk about light normal chain option selects. So this game has chains. For example, the lights chain into one another. See that? Crouch light kick chains into crouch light punch. See that? All of these moves chain into one another. Let me talk about the priority systems first. So if you press crouch jab with a heavy kick, for example, it's the heavy kick that's going to come out because the game gives priorities to kicks over punches, mediums over lights, heavies over medium, and heavies over lights. So it's the heavier that will win. For example, if I do crouch medium punch with crouch light kick, I'll get crouch medium punch. If I do crouch heavy punch with light kick, I'll get crouch heavy punch, right? But if I do, for example, crouch light punch and crouch light kick, you see, it's the crouch light kick that comes out because in this game, like I said, priority for kicks. Look at what happens if I do crouch light kick into crouch light kick with sweep. See that? I get a sweep, right? Because you cannot chain on whiff, right? But if you slightly delay your chain, you get those later chain frames that don't work on whiff, then you can get what we call a chain option select, right? But this sweep, it will not come out if you're chaining, see? It's always going to be a second crouch light kick. But where this is going to be useful is, for example, if your opponent tries to backdash on wake up. Let me get Ryu to backdash and then to block straight away. If I do this technology on his wake up, crouch light kick into crouch light kick with sweep, if the crouch light kick connects, I'm gonna get another crouch light kick. But if it doesn't connect, meaning he backdashed, the sweep is gonna come out. See that? That's what we call an anti-backdash option select. And this can come in so many different ways. As long as you respect the priority of the chain, this will work. Now, let's take this one step further, a more advanced version of this option select with special moves. In this game, you have cancelable frames, right? See that? If I do it too early, the DP will come out because it's still cancelable frames. But if you wait a little, you're no longer in the cancelable frames, but you're still in the chain frames, chain priority frames. That's how you can get a special move to not come out despite doing it. It's because the chain takes priority. Now, if we do this when Ryu is backdashing once again, we're gonna get light DP. See that? And if you want to take this one step further, you can even do this with Ultra. So here's what happens if I do this thing, this chain option select with an Ultra. See? The Ultra is going to come out. But let's say Ryu does not backdash. Here's what happens. You got to stand light kick. But if you finish your Ultra input with a crouch light kick, you can get this option select without having to go for the suboptimal stand light kick. Let me try to get it. This is a little more difficult. See that? See the inputs? 1/4 circle during the crouch light kick, another one right after, and then end with crouching and 3 kicks. And what this means is you can, after this, keep pressuring because crouch light kick is really good like that, right? So that's another way you can use the chain OS. But you can still do these option selects, anti-backdash option selects, even if you don't have a chain. Let's get into that. It's gonna be a little more difficult, but it can be done. On characters who have lights that don't chain, this option select is gonna work through a whole different mechanic. It's not the priority chain tech that's gonna make this work, but it's gonna be the disparity between the on block recovery of a move and on whiff recovery of a move. So let's say Honda goes for a command grab. So here, we only see a crouch jab, right? But let's see what happens if I backdash. Bam. Ultra comes out. I missed the timing, right? But let's get the timing right. You still have to avoid the cancel window. Otherwise, you'll get super. There we go. And the reason this option select works, despite not having a chainable light, is because since the crouch jab recovers much quicker on whiff than it does on block, if you input the ultra and the button lands, the button is still in the process of recovering, so the ultra won't come out. But if the button whiffs, the crouch light punch recovers much quicker and you get the ultra. Whole different philosophy, but same outcome, basically. So, to talk about Honda's option select with his jab, which applies with every character. This applies to every character. Since you can input the ultra if the crouch jab whiffs, but it not coming out if the crouch jab lands, that means you can do everything. So here I'm going to show you another example where you can use a jump option select. So, the same option select with the crouch jab that allowed us to get an ultra only when it's convenient for us is going to work the same way here with the jump. So here, Honda jabs and nothing comes out, right? See? Nothing comes out here. He keeps hitting me, nothing comes out. He keeps hitting me, nothing comes out. But as soon as I try to teleport, bam, he's gonna punish your ass. That's a jump option select. And it is vital in a lot of scenarios. For example, playing at a high level against a character with a teleport like Akuma's without jump OS is really shooting yourself in the foot. This also applies to jumps. For example, if I jump, input a jump, and my medium kick connects, see, nothing will come out. I'm jumping, right? As soon as my medium kick hits, I'm jumping. But look at what happens on whiff. You see that? And this is really good against, if you have a setup that makes a DP whiff, for example, you can get some big damage punishes on DPs. Let's see what happens here if my opponent DPs. What the fuck? Why did my game crash? Come on, man. T-Hawk too powerful for, T-Hawk tech too powerful for the game. Someone doesn't want this tech to come out. Let's see what happens here if I do nothing. T-Hawk hits me and nothing happens, right? Let's see what happens if I DP. Bam. A big punish. I can go even further. Bam. That's the optimal combo. See that? Off of one sequence, Sagat's health was completely obliterated. Half his health gone. You see that? That's jump option select. Rich doesn't like this as a Sagat player. So remember when we were talking about the anti-backdash option select with the chain, there's an extra layer to it that I forgot to mention. It's another double option select. Yes, you guessed it right. For example, let's say you're playing Yun, right? And you don't have Ultra, right? See how I'm doing, my string is crouch jab, crouch like kick into forward, and I press medium punch and light punch at the same time. So I'm just doing my string, right? This is what happens if my opponent backdashes. The forward medium kick is gonna come out, and you can cancel that on reaction. See that? The forward medium punch connected. And you can get the follow-up. So, the reason this is really important is if you don't have Ultra, if you don't want to do Yun's basic anti-backdash, which is light lunge punch, this is what most Yun players will do. right? You do the double option select with a normal. See that? This is the basically how it works, where you can add layers to your anti-backdash option select tech. Now I'm gonna go into fuzzy block option selects. Fuzzy block option selects are for when you want to block for two things that hit in a different way simultaneously, and you can achieve that because those two things you want to block have a different timing. Let me show you an example. A good example to illustrate this fuzzy block technology is, for example, Akuma's cross-up Tatsu, or his what do you call it? Jump heavy kick or cross-up Tatsu setup. So here, I can block the heavy kick and then quickly block cross-up, and I will cover for both. See that? Here I cover for both. I'll show it again, but this time with the heavy kick. See that? This is called fuzzy block. I can block both options. Not many people do this, by the way, which is very important. And this will lead us to another option select, which is fuzzy block DP. This is like next level. Let me show you guys. But this is very difficult to do. It's a bit like the Momochi tech. You see, that's why I'm saying this is the biggest gate-capped secret from the very good players to the mediocre ones. It's stuff like this that makes the difference. All right, let's try jump heavy kick. There we go. So if you look at this, Ryu is blocking the jump heavy kick, right? There it is. He's blocking it, right? Well, let's see what happens if Akuma does the cross-up Tatsu.
Nope.
With the dummy doesn't do it in the right direction. Normally, it's supposed to come out the other way, but the dummy is messed up. I'm gonna try and do it here manually. There we go. See that? When it's the dummy that has this recorded, it's much harder to do. There we go. Just end with blocking and then slightly delay the DP. And then you cover for both. It's a very small window, but if you practice it, you're gonna get it. Let me try again with the dummy. Maybe I was mistiming it. There we go. Yes, baby! Let's go. Alright, so here, if Akuma does the jump heavy kick, Ryu is gonna block it, right? But if Akuma goes for the Tatsu, bam. See that? So this is called the fuzzy block DP option select. I don't know what it's called, but this is how I name it. So another option select that I forgot to mention, that's very important. We talked about option select off of when we discussed Honda. Remember Honda's block stun being different on hit and on whiff, and depending on that you can get an option select, right? Same with T-Hawk. I got an option select with the jump when I was talking about jump option selects. You can go way further than that and option select on your jump ins, right? So here what I'm gonna do with Ryu is I'm gonna jump and very quickly during the block stun input an Ultra 2 before you land. So during the button hitting and before you land. So that's the window you have. You can input an Ultra 2. And I picked Ultra 1, of course. As Honda, if I wake up and I do nothing, I get hit. If I block, nothing comes out. But look at what happens if I try to backdash. Ultra 2 comes out, smacks me. Let's see what happens if I try to headbutt on wake up. Bam. See that? Let's see what happens if I EX butt slam. Okay, this is an option that's legit. But let's see what happens if I light butt slam. I got a hit. You see that? So this covers a lot of Honda's almost everything basically. So this is an option select where you can input whatever you want during your jump ins block stun. Whether you can input a sweep, you can input a DP, you can input a throw. Yes, throw can work against some characters. Let me show you. Let's say you're playing against Yang. So let's say you have Yang in the corner here, right? The thing with Yang is his EX command dash, for example, is invincible, right? Invincible to blows right out the bat on his first frame. So if you try to do a safe jump setup and Yang teleports away because he's in the corner, there's not much you can do, right? But if you option select the throw during the block stun of the heavy kick, it'll work. See that? I do my safe jump. I do throw option select. That will only come out if my jump in whiffs. See? And make sure you always block during the throw, so that you can block any reversal attempt as well. All right, so there you have it. And on jump-ins, or this option select can also be good if your ambiguous jumping is not a meaty. It doesn't have to be only on safe jumps. You can do this on ambiguous jump setups as well. Let me pick Guile, for example. Guile is a notoriously bad character on the wake up, right? So if you knock him down and you do your vortex, your setup, and your setup is not a meaty, a lot of characters with bad reversal will want to dash out of it, right? So here, if I do nothing, crouch like the jump medium kick connects. If I block, nothing comes out. But if I try to dash out of it, the sweep is gonna catch me. And you can do the same with a heavy Tatsu to catch Akuma's teleport if he doesn't have Ultra 2. You can once you understand the logic behind option selects and how they work, you can pretty much be creative with it. You know, just be creative. Like you can make up stuff. Oh, let me option select. I don't know, anything. You can option select anything. We've covered most of the option selects that I can think of, but there is one that I want to tell you about its existence, which is the proximity block option select, which operates by some moves only activating if your proximity block is triggered during the recovery of a normal. Like, for example, let's say I record Honda to walk back, and with proximity block, I can stop him from walking back. See that? He can't walk back anymore because I'm permanently proximity blocking him. And this has some weird properties with some normals where at the end of the recovery of the normal, if this proximity block is activated, the move will come out. Whereas if there was no proximity block activation, the move wouldn't come out. And this is very strong, and it means that your move will only come out if someone presses something to hit you. Right? It's extremely strong, but it's so difficult, near impossible to do, that it's very unreliable. And I'm not even gonna go further into this, but I'm pretty sure you can find some resources online that explain this in depth. But I don't recommend ever doing this. Even for high-level players, I don't recommend doing this. The pro players back in the day, they did not do it. Only for a very select few, like Alioun, who tried doing this. And sometimes it even worked against him, because he was too tunnel visioned on this as part of his game plan. And, you know, it takes some focus away from the other things. So you gotta be careful with things like this that are not only extremely difficult to do, but also very like situational. Don't rely on these kind of things to win. But yeah, there you go. I don't think I forgot any option selects. I think we've been over most of them. But yeah, there you go. Make sure to rewatch this at slow speed if you want to carefully look at my inputs while I'm doing these things. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe.